up, fiends? Lucard here. Today I have some recommendations for Tubi. Alright, so I'm not gonna like break down everything for you, but I might give a little blurb about each one because I have a lot of recommendations for you. Alright, so first up we're gonna start with documentaries. These are documentaries. Some are horror, some are not. I am gonna have quite a few that are not horror suggestions in this video. So the first one I'm gonna recommend is called Best Worst Movie from 2009. It's a documentary about the making of the movie Troll 2. And if you don't know, Troll 2 is one of the worst movies ever made. And we mean that in a good way because it's so fun and it's so bad that it's one of those so bad it's good movies. Anyway, this is a documentary a few years later about the kid in the movie like reconnecting with all the people that made the movie. It's really interesting. Next one I'm going to talk about is called Not Quite Hollywood. It is a documentary about the Ozploitation genre. Ozploitation is Australian exploitation movies. So it includes horror, action, comedy, sex movies, all that stuff. Really great documentary, highly recommend it. The next one I'm going to talk about is a little different. It's based on a true story. It is called Dear Zachary in 2008. It is a true story. I don't want to give this one away. Just watch it. It'll blow your freaking mind. All right, next documentary I'm going to talk about is called Finders Keepers. It's another true story about a guy who buys a storage locker and finds a prosthetic leg. Come to find out, this is a real prosthetic leg that this guy is missing. This other guy is missing. And so it's about, well, I own it, yeah, but it's my leg. And it's fascinating that this actually happened. Just boggles my mind. Next documentary recommendation is called Grizzly Man. It's another true story. This one's directed by Werner Herzog. It is about a guy who used to live with the grizzly bears. It's really a character piece about this guy who was really just passionate about saving and living with these grizzly bears. It's not a happy ending. Sorry, spoiler. But it is fascinating. Next one we're going to talk about is called Alive Inside. This movie is about this man who, it's another true story, about a guy who reconnects elderly people with Alzheimer's, and he uses music to kind of start bringing back some of the memories and stuff. Again, really fascinating stuff. And it's about this guy's struggle with getting this program off, getting this program going, and nobody really accepts it and stuff. And he's like, but I got proof. And the last documentary I'm going to talk about today is Heavy Metal Parking Lots, the classic from 1986. It was filmed kind of like a tailgating thing in the parking lot of a Judas Priest concert in Maryland. It is such a time capsule of the early to mid 80s metal scene and stuff. Oh, it's so fantastic. It has characters you can talk about for ages, like Zebra Man, and it's so fun. And it's only like 15-16 minutes long. Please check it out. It is fantastic, and it's worth your time. And you'll at least get a chuckle out of it because it's so fun. Alright, so the next batch of recommendations are going to be foreign movies. Now, I live in the States, so anything that is not from the United States is considered foreign to me. Even Canadian stuff. I love Canada. I am part Canadian, so. Alright, so I guess let's start with the Canadian stuff. Is Wolf Cop. It's a silly little movie. It's about this cop who turns into a werewolf. And yeah, sometimes he even he's even on duty as the cop. It's it's funny, it's goofy. But yeah, highly entertaining and highly recommended. All right, now we're going to move on to Italy. I have two from Italy. The first is called The Beyond, directed by Lucio Fulci. It was filmed in Louisiana for the most part. Um, it's kind of a weird zombie kind of dreamlike thing. It's very bizarre. Of course, the other Italian recommendation I have is the original Suspiria from 1977, directed by Dario Argento. It's about this girl going to a ballet school and there are witches. That's all I'm gonna say. I have two from Japan. First one is Audition from 1999, directed by Takashi Miike. It is about a man looking for a mate, and he holds a fake audition to find one. And I know you're thinking, what's the horror here? Just watch it. Yeah, it trips you out. And I'm gonna recommend another one by Miike called The Happiness of the Katakuris. I've talked about this one before. It's kind of a zombie musical comedy. It's all kind of things. But yeah, it's goofy as all heck, but it's super fun, and I hope you enjoy it. First one is Goodnight Mommy. It's about this woman wrapped up kind of like a mummy, and her children slowly start thinking that that is not their mommy. And the last foreign one I will recommend is one called Rare Exports: A Christmas Tale. It's perfect for Christmas. It's going to be on my Christmas list, so just know that now. It's about this little boy who discovers Santa, but it's not the Santa we all think. And I'm just going to leave it at that. All right, next category is some horror classics. And I'm going to go in year order for this one. Starting with 1920. Yeah, we're going 101 years old. The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. I mean, it is the quintessential silent horror flick. And it is a must-see. You have to see it. It's just one of those movies. It's just, yeah, it's so iconic. Next one would be Nosferatu from 1922. Another German expressionism horror flick. This one loosely follows the story of Dracula. And the vampire is brilliantly played by Max Schreck. Alright, so that's done with the silence. Now we move on to The Old Dark House from 1932. A James Whale film starring Boris Karloff, Charles Lawton, and a few other people. Gloria Stewart's in it. It's sort of it's your quintessential, old dark house movie. These couples get stormed in, and they end up at this mansion run by crazy people. Next recommendation is one called Jack the Ripper from 1960. Pretty self-explanatory. It's the story of Jack the Ripper. Next one from 1967, Spider Baby, starring Lon Chaney Jr. and Sid Haig. It's another kind of weird, bizarre movie, but highly recommended. It's definitely worth a watch. And of course, from 1968, Night of the Living Dead. Who hasn't seen Night of the Living Dead? I don't know anybody that hasn't seen Night of the Living Dead. But if you haven't, watch it. If you haven't, watch it. If you have seen it, watch it again, because it's just that great. Let's do one from the 70s, shall we? Let's do Shivers from 1975, David Cronenberg's first full-length horror feature. No, David Cronenberg's first feature. It's kind of Invasion of the Body Snatcher type thing going on, but not quite. From 1980, let's recommend The Changeling with George C. Scott. My wife is the one that introduced me to this one. It's creepy. It's really good. From 1982, The Slumber Party Massacre. It is a quintessential slasher flick. Day of the Dead from 1985, George Romero's third zombie picture. Night of the Living Dead was the first one, Dawn of the Dead is the second, and Day of the Dead is the third. I didn't see Dawn on there. I do highly recommend Dawn. That's my favorite of the whole series. But Day of the Dead kind of caps it all off. It's kind of more military-esque, but definitely cool. Also from 1985, I will recommend Reanimator, starring Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton. It is the story of Dr. Herbert West, and he kind of has a Frankenstein complex, is the easiest way to explain. And one more, from 1986, Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, starring Michael Rooker and Tom Tolles. Really another quintessential slasher flick. All right, let's talk comedy horror. First one I'm going to recommend is from 1985, The Stuff. The Stuff is a really great movie. It's sort of like this white, jello-y type thing, and it becomes kind of like The Blob, but people are like eating it and ingesting it, and it's like, yeah, I know it doesn't sound fun, but Garrett Morris is in it, and it's funny. It's just the way they do it. It's just funny. The next ones I'm going to recommend are House and House 2: The Second Story. I recommend both of them. They're both fantastic. They're monster flicks, but they're fun monster flicks. From 1997, I'm going to recommend Jack Frost. Not the Michael Keaton one. No. This is the one, he's the killer snowman. You heard me, a killer snowman. There are actually two Jack Frost movies. The second one, but the first one's a classic for a reason. I'm going to also recommend, in the comedy, I'm also going to recommend Life After Beth, starring Aubrey Plaza. She's like a zombie, like living, it's Aubrey Plaza, so it automatically gets a thumbs up from me. And finally, in the comedy section, I'm going to recommend Birdemic, Shock and Terror. This movie is so bad. Like, you think The Room is bad? No, The Room's a freaking masterpiece compared to this thing. The acting it's the worst acting you can think of. The effects are like a 5-year-old can make better bird effects than this movie, and they fight him off with hangers. It's so cringy, yet hilarious. Like, you're going to be crying because you're laughing so hard at how awful this is. So this one I don't have a real category for. This is kind of the rest of the horror stuff. First one I'm going to talk about is Silent Rage from 1982. This is a Chuck Norris film. You like Chuck Norris and horror? Yeah. He battles this guy that can't die. And he's menacing. And he is scary as all hell. He used to scare me as a kid. When every time I watched this movie, I was like, this guy's freaking nuts. But yeah, check it out. It's actually really good. All right, another slasher I'm going to recommend is Terrifier from 2016. This is the movie with Art the Clown, and he just literally tears up people. It's gross. It's bloody. It's every gore hound. This is your movie. All right, another recommendation is going to be See No Evil 2. Yes, part 2. The first one's okay. It's not nearly as good. The second one is where it's at, because it's directed by the Soska sisters, the Twisted Twins, and they make it a whole lot better than the first one. It stars Kane, the WWE Hall of Fame wrestler and current mayor of Knoxville, Tennessee, and Danielle Harris. Next one I'm going to recommend is a movie called Ticks from 1993. starring Amy Dolenz and Seth Green. Um, it's it's what you think it is. It's a bunch of killer ticks, but it's fun. Another recommendation I'm going to do is Subspecies from 1991. This is the first of, I think there's 4 Subspecies movies now. I think they're talking about doing the 5th one. It's about the vampire Radu, and it's yeah, it's really good. It's, especially if you like vampire stuff, I definitely recommend it. And the last horror one I'm going to recommend is called Trailer Park of Terror. It's a zombie movie in a trailer park, and it's really fun. All right, now let's talk about some non-horror films, and I'm going to end it. So the first one I'm going to talk about, it's not technically a horror film, but horror people might like it. It's based on a true story. It's called Christine from 2017. It is the true story of a news reporter that kills herself on air. It is depressing. I'm not gonna lie, but the performances and stuff really shine. And yeah, I still can't believe that this really happened. Another recommendation is called Django. It's the original spaghetti western, not the Jamie Foxx movie made many years later. Django's from 1968. It's about a character named Django in the Wild West, and he carries a coffin with him wherever he goes. And I'm going to leave it at that. Another recommendation, another bizarre recommendation. If you like bizarre movies, I'm going to recommend a movie called Holy Motors from 2012. This is another one that's extremely difficult to describe, but it's so weird that I recommend it. He's like, what am I watching? Like, what is this? And it just keeps going. So yeah, if you like weird stuff, check out Holy Motors. Another recommendation is called Hick from 2012, starring Eddie Redmayne and Chloe Grace Moretz. I'm just going to throw out a few more at you, non-horror movies. One's called Spun from 2003. It's a drug movie. Like, it's, you know, they're tripping out on drugs and stuff. But the first, I think it's the first 17 minutes, the first 20 minutes. I think it's 17 minutes. Just watch it. It's going to blow your mind. Another great movie on Tubi right now is called Memento. If you haven't seen that one, I'm sure most people have. But it's told in, the whole movie is told in reverse. Another recommendation is Rock and Roll High School, starring the Ramones and PJ Souls. It's a musical comedy thing. I was fortunate enough to meet PJ Souls and have her sign my copy of Rock and Roll High School, and she is just the sweetest thing. So if you ever get to meet PJ Souls at a convention or whatever, definitely stop by. She's a sweetheart. And 2 more recommendations. I'm going to recommend The Artist from 2011. It's a mostly silent film that won the Academy Award, and I actually think they got it right that time. Most of the time I don't. It was a really great movie, especially if you like silent movies. Check it out. And the last one I'm going to recommend is a movie called 99 Homes from 2015, starring Andrew Garfield and Michael Sheen. It is a movie about this guy who loses kind of everything. Anyway, it's a drama, but it was filmed. Mostly in Louisiana, and actually my old house is in the movie. Yeah, and my mom's in the movie too. So anyway, check all those movies out. If you've seen any of these movies, let me know in the comments. Or if you want to check out any of these movies and you're going to check them out, let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, give me a big thumbs up. It really helps me out. If you're new, please subscribe. And remember to stay spooky, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.